On June 4th, President Trump signed an executive order officially restricting visas for international students planning to attend Harvard University. In the midst of this growing controversy, one unexpected figure took center stage. Jiang Yurong, the first Chinese woman ever chosen to deliver a Harvard commencement speech. Her remarks, hailed by the Harvard Crimson as a powerful anthem for international diversity, electrified the crowd and stood in direct contrast to Trump's immigration stance and the uncertain future facing thousands of international students. But was Harvard's decision truly coincidental, or a calculated move in defiance of the White House? When a student from a nation known for tight state control over information is given such a prestigious platform, what message is Harvard sending? And what exactly is hidden behind Jiang Yurong's viral speech that has captivated global attention? In this video, we dive into the dramatic twists, political subtext, and the deeper implications of this controversy. Ready to uncover the story behind the headlines? Let's begin. A speech that sparked controversy. Born in 2000 in the coastal city of Qingdao, Jiang Yurong's academic journey took her from the University of Warwick in the UK to Duke University in the US, and finally to the Harvard Kennedy School, where she earned her Master of Public Administration in 2025. Letters of recommendation from professors and supervisors at Credit Suisse, where she worked, paint a picture of a hardworking, ambitious young woman. Yet Jiang's academic credentials aren't what thrust her into the global spotlight. It was her role as the official student speaker at Harvard's 2025 commencement, an unprecedented honor for a Chinese national, that ignited intense public scrutiny. Her speech, Our Humanity, went viral on social media, earning praise from major outlets for its themes of compassion, unity, and overcoming political division. But as it gained attention, so too did the backlash. Many questioned the timing and symbolism. Why was a Chinese student, during peak U.S.-China tension, given the stage to represent Harvard's graduating class? Was Harvard sending a veiled political message? The most celebrated and simultaneously most scrutinized line from her speech was, "If we still believe in a shared future, let us not forget. Those we label as enemies, they too are human. In seeing their humanity, we find our own. In the end, we don't rise by proving each other wrong. We rise by refusing to let one another go." U.S.-based cultural scholar Wu Xilai criticized this rhetoric as a sophisticated attempt to launder Chinese Communist Party (CCP) ideology through flowery, westernized language. The phrase "shared future," he pointed out, mirrors the CCP's favored international slogan, "a community with a shared future for mankind." Officially added to China's constitution in 2018, this phrase is a core component of Beijing's global narrative campaign, regularly echoed at the United Nations, APEC, and other major global forums. Chinese-American academic Raymond Ong took it further, calling Jiang's speech a carefully constructed message with political undertones. On social media, he warned readers to consider what wasn't said as much as what was. According to Ong, the speech elevated Jiang's personal profile while subtly advancing Beijing's ideological goals abroad. It projected a message of moral authority from someone representing a country that, ironically, lacks freedom of speech, religion, and democratic governance. Despite addressing human rights and global inequality, Jiang made no mention of the severe human rights abuses in her own homeland, from mass internment camps in Xinjiang and the suppression of dissent in Hong Kong to the ongoing persecution of Falun Gong practitioners. Was her silence deliberate? Ironically, despite not being a seasoned political analyst, Jiang Yurong's graduation speech at Harvard was quickly met with sharp backlash from online users. One netizen asked, "If China is so great, why did she choose to study in the United States?" Another scoffed, "Even Chinese citizens can see right through her performance." And a third added, "China would never let an American student deliver a graduation speech." Ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Shortly after Jiang Yurong stepped up to deliver her commencement speech at Harvard, her personal history and family background were swiftly scrutinized by both netizens and the media. An investigation by the Daily Caller revealed that Jiang's father, Jiang Zemin, had donated $140,000 in 2015 to the China Biodiversity Conservation and Green Development Foundation, GDF. a group flagged multiple times by U.S. agencies for its close ties to the Chinese military and direct oversight by the Chinese Communist Party. Notably, one of the foundation's founding members is a high-ranking military general influential within the CCP's political system. In 2017, the organization established an official CCP committee within its structure, making it part of the state's ideological machinery. Jiang Yurong is also closely connected to Zhou Zhenfeng, the foundation's current executive, who has held a number of posts within the CCP's political and United Front operations. Jiang Yurong herself volunteered for the foundation's International Affairs Department for at least 4 years and frequently represented the organization at global forums, suggesting that she was more than just the daughter of a party official. She was, in effect, part of Beijing's expanding soft power network. Further raising eyebrows, Chinese media reported that her principal Harvard recommendation letter was written by none other than Zhou Zhenfeng himself. This fueled speculation. Was her admission to Harvard truly based on merit, or was it another example of elite privilege and insider influence? In a now-deleted social media post, Jiang painted herself as a self-made success story, claiming she came from a modest, divorced family, endured bullying, and rose against the odds to reach Harvard. But official records tell a different story. She attended a top-tier boarding school in the UK, completed a 4-year degree at Duke University, and then pursued a 2-year master's program at Harvard, an academic path nearly impossible without considerable financial backing. When questioned, Jiang claimed she worked 4 years at 2 investment firms to fund her education. But the math doesn't add up. She's only 25. To have worked 4 years, studied 6 more, and attended high school in the UK, she would have had to graduate high school by age 16. Barring a time warp, it simply doesn't make sense, unless she's not being entirely honest. Harvard, the CCP's party school in the West? Perhaps the most troubling question is this: why would Harvard, a symbol of academic excellence and liberal democracy, allow a student with evident ties to the Chinese Communist regime to represent its graduating class, especially at a time when the U.S. government is tightening restrictions on Chinese students? At first glance, it may appear to be a quiet protest by Harvard against Trump-era immigration policies. Trump previously threatened to strip the university of federal funding over failure to disclose foreign donations and alleged discriminatory practices. But beneath the surface, this incident once again highlights Harvard's long-standing, increasingly cozy relationship with the Chinese government. On April 26, Wang Huiyao, president of the Center for China and Globalization, CCG, delivered a pointed speech at the China 2025 Forum, hosted by Harvard Kennedy School. In his remarks, he sharply criticized the United States for initiating the trade war, accusing Washington of being authoritarian and undermining the global trade order. Unsurprisingly, his statements closely mirrored Beijing's long-standing talking points. Wang is not just any commentator. He holds numerous influential roles within China's political framework, including as a policy advisor to the State Council and a member of the United Front Work Department's Advisory Committee. He also serves as a consultant to global institutions such as the World Economic Forum and the World Bank. A former senior research fellow at Harvard Kennedy School, Wang has held visiting professorships at universities across China and Canada. He is also a frequent contributor to Chinese state-run outlets like Global Times. Of particular note, on January 20th of this year, Liu Kang, Vice Minister of the CCP's International Liaison Department, hosted a group of students from Harvard Kennedy School in China as part of the Harvard China Trek. The visit raised fresh concerns. Who funds these trips? Could they be financed by the Chinese taxpayer? In reality, Harvard's ties to China are neither new nor superficial. They span decades and have only grown deeper. As far back as 2012, multiple American and Japanese media outlets referred to Harvard as China's second party school. President Trump later echoed this sentiment, noting that Xi Jinping's daughter had once studied at Harvard. The U.S.-based outlet Slate once described Harvard as an ideal training ground for Chinese officials. Asahi Shimbun, a leading Japanese newspaper, went further, labeling it the CCP's party school abroad, where thousands of mid- and high-level cadres have been sent to absorb Western methodologies. In 2009, over 450 Chinese students and scholars held a large-scale gala near Harvard's campus, featuring both Chinese and American flags and a rendition of China's national anthem. One of the guests of honor that evening was Jiang Yurong, then Vice Minister of China's Ministry of Commerce. Since 2001, the CCP's Central Organization Department has run its China Leadership Development Program directly at Harvard Kennedy School. Graduates of this program include senior officials such as Li Yuanchao, former Vice President of China, Deng Xiaogang, Party Secretary of the Tibet Autonomous Region, and numerous provincial leaders. Even Guagua, son of disgraced Chongqing Party Secretary Xilai, now imprisoned, studied at the Kennedy School. More recently, the U.S. House Select Committee on China launched an investigation into Harvard's potential collaboration with Chinese institutions involved in organ transplantation research, amid mounting concerns about links to forced organ harvesting. Looking back, Harvard was established in 1636 by devout Puritans, guided by mottos like "Truth for Christ and the Church." Nearly 4 centuries later, this once sacred institution, long viewed as a global symbol of truth and intellectual freedom, now finds itself accused of aligning with an atheist regime notorious for religious persecution and state censorship. One cannot help but ask, would Harvard's founders even recognize the institution it has become? Guagua fires back. Amid mounting criticism over Harvard's controversial ties with Beijing, one Chinese alumnus has stepped up to defend his alma mater, and it's none other than the Red Prince himself, Guagua. On May 23rd, Bo took to X to share an article discussing the Trump administration's consideration of revoking Harvard's ability to enroll international students. He wrote, "This is sad news for international students today, but Americans will feel the pang of their loss in the long run." His statement echoed the combative, tit-for-tat logic deeply rooted in the Chinese Communist Party's ideological playbook. Bo reminisced about his time at Harvard, claiming he built lifelong friendships with professors and classmates, whom he described as people have the integrity to be all-weather friends. He also professed love for his homeland while praising cultural diversity and differing worldviews. But netizens weren't so easily convinced by Bo's portrayal of himself as a humble, scholarship-funded student. Memories of his lavish lifestyle, particularly the moment he arrived at the U.S. ambassador's residence in Beijing driving a red Ferrari, are far from forgotten. When the backlash reached a fever pitch, his father, fallen party leader Xilai, snapped in a public speech, "It's all nonsense. My son studied at Oxford and Harvard on a full scholarship." The internet wasn't buying it. "How did you go from Oxford to Harvard? You know better than anyone. Those brilliant classmates, do you mean Xi Mingzi? Also on a scholarship? If you love your country so much, why not go back and show it there?" From Jiang Yurong's slogan-laden commencement speech to Guagua's pompous defense of Harvard and the steady influx of China's red aristocracy into elite U.S. universities, an uncomfortable reality is coming into focus. These individuals arrive from an authoritarian state, yet seem untouched by the democratic values of the free world. Instead of being transformed, they become conduits for the CCP's ideological export, diluting the principles that define liberal democracies. When CCP red seedlings stand at podiums at Harvard preaching about freedom, justice, and human rights, while their own government jails dissidents, crushes religious freedom, and censors truth, the question must be asked: whose morality are they really preaching? Is Harvard just naive? Or has it, knowingly or not, become a stage for Beijing's soft power ambitions? Ultimately, the cost may not just fall on international students. What's truly at risk is Harvard's legacy, its academic neutrality, its moral credibility, and the very reputation it has built over nearly 4 centuries. As China expert Gordon Chang recently warned on X, Harvard is a great institution, but we will have to end its existence if it continues to allow itself to be used by those seeking the destruction of the United States. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest content.